Ethan's footsteps echoed softly against the old wooden floors as he entered the house. The same house he had grown up in but had not seen for years, the air thick with dust and memories that seemed to cling to every corner. And the first thing he noticed was the silence, the kind of silence that felt heavy, almost alive, as if it were waiting for him to remember, to feel, to awaken something long buried. He had left Vermont for college and then work, chasing dreams that never seemed to fill the emptiness in his chest, and now, after the sudden death of his mother, he had returned, unsure what he would find, whether the house would welcome him or push him away. The hallway smelled faintly of lavender, her favorite scent, and for a moment, it was as if she had just stepped out, leaving him to wander through shadows of the past. His hand brushed against the banister, smooth from years of touch, and he could almost hear her voice calling him for dinner, gentle and warm, the kind of warmth that had always made the world feel safe. But the real reason he had come was not nostalgia, it was the message, the one she had left for him years ago, on the day she had grown too sick to speak clearly, a voice note on his old phone that he had never dared to play until now. "Son, while Dad is not at home, you need to take advantage of the moment, run to the bedroom." The words had been strange then, cryptic, urgent, and they haunted him now. He didn't know what moment she meant, or why only when his father was away, but something in his chest tightened, a mixture of fear and curiosity, compelling him to follow her instructions. He paused at the edge of the hallway, staring at the door at the end, the door that had always been off-limits after her illness worsened, memories flooding him in waves, the scent of her perfume lingering faintly, the sound of her laughter in the kitchen, the way she had tucked him into bed when storms shook the house. Each memory felt like a rope pulling him forward, and he wondered if opening that door would make the past clearer or tear him apart completely. He thought about his father, Richard, a quiet man whose grief was expressed in silence, whose love was constant but often hidden behind a wall of sternness and careful control. And Ethan knew that the moment might not be safe, not in the sense of emotions, not in the sense of confronting secrets, but he felt ready, or at least desperate enough, to face whatever she had left for him. His hand trembled slightly as he turned the doorknob, the chill from the winter air mixing with the warmth of anticipation. The room greeted him with a familiar scent of lavender and old wood, the sunlight coming through the curtains casting soft stripes across the bed. And there, in the center of the mattress, was a small wooden box, polished and neat, as if she had placed it there for this exact moment. His heart thudded, and he stepped closer, noticing her handwriting etched on the top. "For Ethan when he is ready." The letters elegant and flowing, carrying her touch even from beyond. He reached out, hesitated, his fingers hovering above the smooth surface, every instinct in his body telling him to pause, to wait, but curiosity and longing won. He lifted the lid slowly, the hinges creaking softly, and inside were letters tied with a ribbon, photographs of a life he had never fully known, and a small silver key. Each item seemed alive with her presence, each object a whisper from the past. And as he lifted a photograph of his mother smiling in a sunlit garden, a tightness formed in his throat, the kind of ache that makes breathing difficult. The letters were addressed to him, in handwriting he recognized instantly, the familiar curves of her script bringing tears to his eyes. He touched the top letter, running his fingers over the words she had written, words that were gentle yet urgent, intimate yet protective. "My sweet Ethan, if you are reading this, it means you were finally brave enough to face what I could not." The letter continued, explaining in soft tones that she had prepared this box to reveal truths about their family, about love and mistakes, about choices she had made that he was too young to understand at the time. The room seemed to shrink around him as he absorbed the weight of her message, and he realized how much he had missed her, not just her presence but her guidance, her wisdom, the quiet strength she had carried even in illness. He sat on the edge of the bed, the letters in his hands, and thought about the instructions she had left, why it mattered that he only see this while his father was away. Was it meant to protect him? Was it meant to protect her father? Or was it simply the way she wanted him to experience the truth, alone, with no interference, with the freedom to feel whatever she had meant for him to feel? The shadows of the room seemed to shift as he read the next lines. "Your father loved me, but life has always been complicated, and there are things I could not say to him, things I could only say to you." Ethan felt a strange mix of longing and anger, sadness and hope, trying to untangle the threads of a family story he had only glimpsed in fragments. He ran his hand through his hair, sitting back against the headboard, the photographs scattered around him, his mind spinning with questions, each memory of his childhood now layered with a new perspective. What secrets had she hidden, and why? What would he find if he followed the key? The place she had wanted him to unlock. And just as he was about to open the next letter, a sound from the front of the house made him freeze. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, someone returning. The floor creaked under the weight of a visitor, the sound sharp against the stillness of the room, and Ethan's heart skipped, fear and dread mixing with the curiosity that had driven him here. He froze, the box in his lap, photographs and letters spread around him, unsure whether to hide, to run, or to stay. The moment was fragile, like glass ready to shatter, and he realized that he had crossed a threshold, that whatever came next could change everything he thought he knew about his family, about his mother, about himself. The door handle rattled slightly, and the footsteps drew closer, the shadow of the intruder stretching across the hallway floor. Ethan held his breath, glancing toward the open door, trying to decide whether to face the visitor or retreat. His mother's words echoed in his mind again. While Dad is not at home, you need to take advantage of the moment. And he understood for the first time that the moment she had meant was not simply about a secret, it was about courage, about facing the past, about embracing what had been hidden and taking ownership of his life. All at once, fear, excitement, sadness, and longing collided in his chest, and Ethan realized he was ready. He set the letters carefully back in the box, holding the silver key tightly in his hand, and stepped slowly toward the door, ready to face whoever had returned, ready to confront the echoes of the past, and ready finally to discover the truth his mother had left for him. But before he could move completely, the doorknob turned from the outside. A shadow fell across the floor, and Ethan knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The moment she had left for him had arrived, and there was no turning back. Ethan froze as the shadow stretched across the floor, the doorknob slowly turning, and for a brief moment fear gripped him like a cold hand. But then the figure stepped into the hallway and he recognized her, Maya, his childhood friend, the girl who had always known him better than anyone, the one who had laughed with him in sunlit afternoons and shared secrets under old oak trees. Her brown hair damp from the fog outside, her expression soft yet worried, and in that instant the tension in the room shifted, a mixture of relief and new emotion washing over him. He blinked, unsure whether to step forward or stay. Frozen in place, the box on the bed between them, the letters and photographs spilling out like pieces of his past waiting to be reassembled. "You opened it," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly, carrying a gentle warmth that made his chest ache. "I'm glad." Ethan swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. The words his mother had left ringing in his mind, the cryptic urgency of her message suddenly feeling more urgent than ever. "I don't even know what's inside, and I don't know what she wanted me to see before Dad came home," he admitted, the letters fluttering slightly in his hands, photographs slipping out of the box and onto the bed, capturing smiles frozen in time, moments he had missed, and a longing he had never fully recognized until now. Maya stepped closer, her presence filling the room, a comforting warmth against the coldness that had lingered in the house since his mother's passing. "Your mom was trying to protect you, you know that," she said softly, her eyes searching his. "She loved you more than anything. She wanted you to understand when the time was right." Ethan's fingers trembled over the top letter, the handwriting bringing back memories of bedtime stories, whispered encouragement, the quiet strength she had carried even in her last days. And now he felt the weight of everything she had kept from him, the love, the pain, the truths he had never known. He sat on the edge of the bed, Maya beside him, her hand hovering near his, the temptation to reach out growing stronger with each second. "Do you want me to open it with you?" she asked, her voice soft, inviting, and Ethan nodded slowly, realizing that he could not face this moment alone, that the connection between them, forged over years of friendship, now carried a new depth, a quiet intimacy. As they lifted the lid together, the contents of the box revealed letters tied with ribbon, photographs of places and people Ethan had never met, glimpses of his mother's life before he was born, her dreams, her fears, the quiet moments of joy and sorrow she had endured. And at the bottom of the box lay a small silver key, glinting in the sunlight that spilled through the curtains. "This key?" Ethan whispered, turning it over in his hand. "What is it for?" Maya leaned closer, her shoulder brushing against his, a spark of something he had ignored for too long warming his chest. "She wanted you to have it, to find something only you could understand, somewhere she knew you would go when you were ready," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "It's about her, about your family, about you." Ethan felt a surge of emotion, a mixture of grief and curiosity, longing and fear. And the room seemed to tilt, time slowing as he read the first letter aloud. My sweet Ethan, if you are reading this, it means you were finally brave enough to face what I could not. Your father loved me, but life has complicated us both, and there are things I could not tell him, things I could only entrust to you. His voice faltered, Maya's hand brushing his as he handed her the letter to read. Her eyes soft, understanding, the silence between them heavy yet comforting. She wanted you to know the truth, Maya said gently, her thumb tracing the edge of the paper. About her life, about you, about how much she loved you. Ethan's heart ached, the memories of his mother flooding back, her laughter, the warmth of her hugs, the quiet moments of guidance, the way she had always protected him even when he didn't understand. The photographs were next, images of his mother smiling in the garden, writing in her journal, meeting friends he had never known, all of it telling stories he had never heard, pieces of a life that now felt closer than ever. He realized how much he had missed, not just her presence, but the opportunity to know her fully, to understand her choices, to feel her love one last time. Maya leaned against him slightly, a comforting weight, and he felt a pull, a realization that he had been blind to feelings he had held for her for years, that in this room, in this moment, grief and connection and something more had merged. There's more, Ethan said, holding up the silver key. She wrote that this key belongs to a place that will answer everything, that will tell me what I need to know. Maya's eyes widened slightly, her fingers brushing his as she reached to hold the key. Are you ready to find it? She asked, and his chest tightened, the idea of uncovering his mother's secrets thrilling and terrifying all at once. Ethan nodded, feeling both courage and hesitation. The letters and photographs like pieces of a puzzle he had only just begun to understand. I think we should go together, Maya said softly, and he realized in that moment how much her presence mattered, how her quiet support had always been there, and how he had never truly appreciated it until now. The sunlight shifted across the room, highlighting the dust in the air, the edges of the photographs, the ribbon on the letters, everything holding a quiet beauty, a fragile reminder of the life that had been and the life still waiting for him. And then, just as they were about to read the next letter, a sound from the hallway made them both freeze. The front door opening, footsteps heavy, deliberate, familiar, and the air seemed to constrict, the fragile safety of the moment threatened by reality. Ethan's pulse quickened, and he realized his father was home, and suddenly the urgency of his mother's words made sense. She had known he would be scared, that he might hesitate, that he needed someone he trusted by his side, and now the weight of the secret, the key, and the letters pressed down on him like never before. He glanced at Maya, her eyes wide but steady, holding his gaze, silently telling him they could face this together, and together they could uncover the truths that had been hidden for years. But the front door creaked louder, footsteps nearing, and Ethan's hand tightened on the box, photographs sliding slightly, letters trembling under his touch, the key cold against his palm. And in that moment he knew that whatever came next could change everything, not just about his mother, not just about his father, but about him, about Maya, about the family he thought he understood. All at once fear, hope, longing and anticipation collided inside him, a storm he could not resist, and as the shadow from the hallway stretched across the room, Ethan realized the moment had arrived, the moment his mother had prepared him for, the moment he could no longer hide. And as the doorknob turned again, he felt a quiet certainty, a readiness to face what came next, to step into the past she had preserved, to embrace the connections he had ignored, and to discover the truth that would finally bring him closer to the mother he had loved, the father he had feared, and the girl who had always been waiting right beside him. The front door creaked open, the sound sharp in the quiet house, and Ethan's father, Richard, stepped into the hallway, his tall frame casting a shadow that stretched across the worn wooden floor, his face tired and lined, eyes holding the weight of years he had carried alone. And for a moment Ethan froze, the letters and photographs on the bed between them, the silver key still clutched tightly in his hand, a tangible connection to the mother he had lost, and to the truth she had left for him to discover. Richard's gaze shifted to the open box, his expression softening, a mixture of sorrow and relief flickering across his face as he spoke. So you finally opened it, he said quietly, not with anger, but with the kind of sadness that only comes from years of regret and unspoken words. Ethan's chest tightened, questions forming in his mind, the kind that had haunted him for years. Dad, what is all this? Why would Mom leave me a key? What was she hiding from you? He asked, voice barely more than a whisper. Richard stepped closer, his hands in his pockets, breathing slowly. And finally he spoke with a voice both gentle and firm. "She wasn't hiding something from me," he said, and Ethan felt a strange ache, a mix of relief and confusion. "She was protecting something for you, something she wanted you to understand when the time was right." Ethan looked down at the box again, the photograph spilling across the bed, letters tied with ribbon, each one a fragment of a life he had never known, and the silver key gleaming in the sunlight. Richard continued. "The key is for a storage unit in town. There are letters, journals, things she wanted you to know, about her life before me, about her dreams, about her love for you, all the things she never had time to say." Ethan felt a lump in his throat, a mixture of grief and anticipation, realizing that everything he had imagined, secrets, betrayals, mistakes, was not what his mother had left him. Instead it was love, guidance, and the kind of wisdom only she could have preserved. Maya leaned closer, her hand brushing against his as if to remind him he was not alone. And he felt a warmth he had ignored for years, a connection deeper than friendship, quiet yet undeniable. She smiled softly, encouraging him without words, and in that small gesture, Ethan felt courage returning to him. Richard watched them, his eyes noticing the subtle bond, but he said nothing, only offering a small, sad smile, a silent acknowledgement of what had grown between them long before anyone admitted it. Ethan took a deep breath, opening the first letter from the box again, reading aloud the words his mother had written. "My sweet Ethan, you are brave enough to face the truth. Your father loved me, but life is complicated. There are things I could not say to him, things I could only entrust to you. The key is for a place that will help you understand, a place that will answer the questions you do not yet know." His voice faltered, tears threatening. Maya's hand on his arm grounded him, the letters and photographs now more than paper. They were bridges to the past, bridges to the mother he had loved and lost, bridges to a family story. Waiting to be understood, Richard stepped closer, placing a hand gently on Ethan's shoulder. "She wanted you to have peace," he said quietly. "To know her love, to know yourself, and maybe to understand me better too." Ethan's heart ached, and yet he felt a strange relief, a sense that for the first time in years, the distance between him and his father could be bridged by understanding, by truth, by the careful guidance his mother had left. "The storage unit," Ethan whispered, holding the silver key. "We can go together, can't we?" Maya's eyes met his, filled with warmth and unspoken promise. "Yes," she said softly, and Ethan felt a surge of emotion, a mixture of excitement, fear, and longing, the kind that only comes when you are about to step into the unknown with someone who truly understands you. Richard nodded slowly. "I think it's time you saw everything she wanted you to see," he said, and Ethan realized the weight of the moment, the gift his mother had given, the opportunity to discover her life, her love, and the truths that would shape his own. They left the bedroom together, the letters and photographs carefully packed, the key heavy in Ethan's hand but full of possibility. As they walked down the hallway, the air seemed lighter, the sun spilling through the windows, casting golden stripes across the floor, every step carrying him closer to answers, to closure, and to new beginnings. The drive to the storage unit was quiet at first. Richard focused on the road, Maya holding Ethan's hand in hers, squeezing it gently as if to share strength. Ethan's mind raced with anticipation, imagining the boxes, the journals, the secrets his mother had preserved, the life he had never known. The storage unit loomed ahead, unassuming yet significant, a small metal door in a row of many, and Ethan felt his pulse quicken. He fitted the silver key into the lock, twisting slowly, the mechanism clicking open, and the door swung inward to reveal rows of boxes, labeled meticulously in his mother's handwriting, the scent of old paper and wood filling the air. Maya stepped beside him, her presence calming. Richard remained slightly behind, his eyes soft with understanding, and Ethan stepped inside, touching a box labeled with his name, opening it carefully, letters falling into his lap, photographs spilling out, journals stacked neatly, each item telling a story of love, hope, struggle, dreams, and fear. He read aloud, the words of his mother filling the unit, telling him stories of her youth, of the choices she had made, of the hardships she had endured alone, and of the endless love she had carried for him even when she could not speak it. Maya leaned against him, listening, sometimes reading over his shoulder, the warmth of her body steadying him as tears slid down his cheeks. Ethan realized how much he had missed, the love, the care, the guidance, the strength his mother had left for him, and how close he had come to taking it for granted. Richard joined them, adding context, memories filling in gaps, the three of them slowly piecing together the story his mother had preserved for him. understanding her life and understanding each other. Through it all, Ethan felt something blooming quietly between him and Maya. A gentle, growing attraction born of years of friendship, support, shared grief, and the realization that she had always been there for him, his heart opening to her in ways he had ignored before. The afternoon passed quickly, letters read, photographs studied, stories told, and by the time they left the storage unit, Ethan felt lighter, fuller, connected to the past but ready to embrace the future. On the drive home, Richard spoke quietly. She wanted you to know love in all its forms, love for family, love for friends, love for yourself, and maybe even love you hadn't noticed before. Ethan's gaze shifted to Maya, her hand still in his, her smile soft and knowing, and he realized that love had been waiting for him in plain sight. All along, the house welcomed them back differently, sunlight streaming through the windows, shadows dancing gently, as if the past and present had finally found peace. Ethan placed the letters and photographs carefully in a chest in his bedroom, a tribute to his mother and a bridge to his future. Maya sat beside him, their hands intertwined, a quiet promise forming between them. Richard watched from the doorway, a small smile on his lips, a silent blessing for what had grown here. The night fell softly, stars appearing outside the windows, and Ethan felt a gentle hope, a sense that his mother's last gift had not just been secrets or keys, but the courage to embrace life, love, and family fully, to see beauty in the moments he had once overlooked, to accept connection, and to allow himself to feel again. As Ethan and Maya spoke quietly, sharing dreams, fears, and laughter, the tension that had once filled the house had lifted, replaced by warmth, understanding, and a budding love that was safe, pure, and heartfelt. Richard joined them, bringing tea and a gentle presence, the three of them forming a new rhythm in the house, a rhythm of acceptance, of healing, and of quiet joy. Ethan knew that the journey his mother had started with that single cryptic message had reached its purpose. He had faced the past, discovered truths, connected with his father, and opened his heart to Maya, the girl who had been with him through every step, and in the gentle embrace of family, of memory, and of possibility, he understood finally that life, love, and healing were not about rushing, but about moments shared, treasured, and fully embraced. The silver key now rested on his bedside table, a symbol of the journey, the love he had found, the secrets he had uncovered, and the future he could finally step into, hand in hand with Maya, and with his father. And Ethan knew as he lay down that night, that the story of his mother's love, of his family's past, and of his own heart had reached a turning point, one filled with hope, connection, and the quiet thrill of new beginnings, a story that would continue, but now with him ready to live it fully.